Hello friends, welcome back to my channel, and today we will discuss about the introduction to the brainstem. In that we will see nuclei of the brainstem and their organization and location in detail. In the previous video we have discussed about the brain surfaces, features and sulci and gyri and how the brain is divided into different lobes. Today we will see the brainstem under following headings. First we will see what is brainstem, the divisions of the brainstem, how the gray matter and white matter are organized in the brainstem. Then we will see the nuclei of brainstem in detail. So brainstem is a part of the neuraxis located between the cerebrum and spinal cord. It acts as a highway for the ascending and descending tracts. It consists of three parts: midbrain and pons and medulla, and each region is about an inch in length, and inside it has gray matter and white matter. And brainstem is important for many automatic behaviors, reflexes which are meant for survival. When you see the ventral aspect of the brainstem, you will see these three parts from above to downwards: midbrain, pons and medulla oblongata. You can see there how these parts are connected to cerebellum. All these three parts of brainstem are connected to cerebellum via cerebellar peduncles, and most of the brainstem lies in the posterior cranial fossa, infratemporal part, and cerebellum is connected to them by three pairs of peduncles: superior, middle and inferior. And brainstem contains the nuclei of cranial nerves except first and second cranial nerve, which are the direct outgrowths of the brain. It also contains reticular nuclei and other complex nuclear masses concerned with different functions, and it is concerned with number of vital somatic and vital visceral reflexes. And you can see the lateral view here, the three parts of the brainstem. In this part you can see how the pons is connected to cerebellum. So midbrain is connected to cerebellum by superior cerebral peduncle, pons by middle cerebellar peduncle, and medulla by the inferior cerebellar peduncle. You can see the sagittal view here. On the left side you are seeing the sagittal view of the cerebrum with brainstem and cerebellum. You can see the cavity there. And when you see the structure of the brainstem, the midbrain and the lower part of medulla retain the primitive form of the neural tube like spinal cord, where the gray matter is organized into H shape surrounded by the white matter. But as you ascend into the brainstem, the gray matter and white matter scatter and spread like a fountain of water, or consolidate when you descend from brainstem to spinal cord. In the brainstem, what happens here? Gray matter and white matter are scattered so that the cranial nerve nuclear columns and tracts are arranged according to the developmental background. They are not consolidated like what you see in spinal cord. In spinal cord, the gray matter is in the form of H shape surrounded by white matter. And when you see the brainstem here, you can see all the cranial nerves and their superficial origin. The superficial origin may coincide with the deep origin or may not coincide. And in this animation you can see how the brainstem is located between the cerebellum and spinal cord, or you can say between the forebrain and cerebellum. You can see there the blue colored part is brainstem, and the brainstem acts as a part of the neuraxis containing different cranial nerve nuclei and other complex nuclei organized like this, what you are seeing. See here, they are scattered, not like the spinal cord where the gray matter is in the form of H shape, but it is scattered, and it acts as a highway for the ascending and descending tracts, for the information to flow from spinal cord to brain and brain to spinal cord and to cerebellum. So brainstem acts as a highway for the information to flow from to and fro. So when you see here, it gives rise to origin of the cranial nerves except first and second. You can see all these superficial origin. Third and fourth come from midbrain, fifth one come from pons, 6, 7, 8 from pontomedullary junction, 9, 10, 11, 12 come from medulla. You can see midbrain, pons and medulla. Midbrain and the lower part of medulla retain the spinal cord like structure, whereas the upper part of medulla and pons have the different structure. When you see the midbrain, it shows these two cerebral peduncles having the crus cerebri, substantia nigra, and tegmentum. What you can see? Yeah, this red zone is crus cerebri. Then you will see the cerebral aqueduct. In front of that, you can see tegmentum, and behind the imaginary plane passing through the cerebral aqueduct is tectum. So, these are the parts of midbrain. What you see here. Again, we will see the different parts of brainstem in the different levels. And as you see the posterior part of the midbrain, it shows 4 colliculi, pair of superior, pair of inferior. It is closed. Midbrain has a structure similar to spinal cord because they retain the primitive neural tube structure. And as you come here below the midbrain, you are seeing the pons. Pons is also known as bridge because it connects midbrain with the cerebellum, or it connects midbrain with the hindbrain, that you can say. So, pons undergoes an acute ventral pontine flexure. Its posterior part is open. It is not closed like midbrain or lower part of medulla, and you can see the origin of the trigeminal nerve or fifth cranial nerve from the pons. You can see the pons posterior is open and accommodates the cavity of the fourth ventricle here. You can see it is connected to cerebellum via this middle cerebellar peduncle, the red highlighted structure what you see here, and it is open. So, you can see the cavity of the fourth ventricle will be there between the pons, medulla and cerebellum. So, lower part of medulla and midbrain retain the closed tube-like structure similar to spinal cord. So, you can see the medulla oblongata, also known as bulb. It shows the pyramid and olive. Pyramid is the pyramidian structure. Lateral to pyramid you will see olivary masses containing the olivary nucleus. Pyramid represents the descending tracts, corticospinal tract, which decussate in the lower part of medulla, and just lateral to this you will see olivary masses due to olivary nucleus, inferior olivary nucleus that you see there. So, these are the different parts of the brainstem that you see. You should remember midbrain and the lower part of medulla retain tube-like structure, whereas the upper part of medulla and pons have a posteriorly open part due to acute ventral pontine flexure. That yellow highlighted area is showing the decussation of the pyramidal tracts. And as you come here, you can see this is the superficial version of the cranial nerve, and this is the location of different cranial nerve nuclei. I told you they are not organized like what you see in the spinal cord, they are scattered. So, in the brainstem, the gray matter and white matters are scattered, and you can see like this. Here is the representation of the nuclear masses. Right side you are seeing the motor nuclei, left side you are seeing sensory nuclei, how they are scattered among the white matter. That is the contrast from the spinal cord what you see. In spinal cord, the gray matter is organized into H-shaped area. And coming to the development, the entire nervous system developed from the primitive neural tube, having the 3 layers: ependymal layer, mantle layer and marginal layer from inside to outside. And you can see as the ependymal cells move to mantle layer, they will differentiate into spongioblasts and neuroblasts. Neuroblasts will form the gray matter, spongioblasts form the neuroglial cells, and you can see the developing neural tube is divided into 4 plates: roof plate and floor plate, alar plate and basal plate. The anterior basal plate, it gives rise to motor nuclei, whereas posterior alar plate gives rise to sensory nuclei. And as they develop, they form the sulcus limitans. You can see the central canal there, and that is how the spinal cord you see. So basal lamina provides origin to motor nuclei, and alar lamina forms the sensory nuclei. That's why we see motor horn or motor nuclei anteriorly and sensory horn or sensory nuclei posteriorly in spinal cord, lower medulla and midbrain, because they all have primitive neural tube-like structure, whereas motor nuclei lie medially and sensory nuclei laterally in the lower part of upper part of medulla and pons because of the acute ventral pontine flexure during the development. So you can see there the brainstem is undergoing a pontine flexure, so that alar plate is opened up. You can see here in the middle, here you can see the primitive neural loop structure, that is basal plate and alar plate, and you can see the basal plate is forming the motor nuclei and alar plate is forming the sensory nuclei, as you see in the midbrain, whereas in the middle of the brainstem there will be acute ventral pontine flexure leading to this structure where alar plate lies laterally, basal plate lies medially. So in the pons and upper part of medulla, you will see motor nuclei are medial, sensory nuclei are lateral. That you will come across when we discuss the sections of pons and upper part of medulla in detail. Okay, whereas midbrain and lower part of medulla, the motor nuclei are anterior, sensory nuclei are posterior, and the nuclear columns are given by the basal lamina. Basal lamina gives rise to 3 nuclear columns, that is general somatic efferent, special somatic efferent and general visceral efferent. General somatic efferent is by the oculomotor nerve, trochlear nerve, abducent nerve and hypoglossal nerve. Branchiomotor nuclei gives rise to motor nuclei of trigeminal, facial and 9, 10, 11 nuclei which supply the muscles derived from the branchial apparatus, and general visceral efferent nucleus is formed by the dorsal nucleus of vagus. So you can see here in this picture you will get the idea. So these 3 nuclei are derived from basal plate, that is you can see the oculomotor, trochlear, abducent and hypoglossal nerves, they are motor somatic efferent, whereas special visceral efferent branchiomotor by the trigeminal, that is mandibular division of trigeminal, facial, 9, 10, 11 nerves, and general visceral efferent is by the dorsal nucleus of vagus, whereas alar lamina gives rise to 4 columns of nucleus, that is general visceral efferent, special visceral efferent, general somatic efferent and special somatic efferent. So general visceral efferent is by the nucleus of tractus solitarius carrying the taste sensation and dorsal nucleus of vagus. Special visceral efferent is by the again nucleus of tractus solitarius carrying the taste sensations. General somatic efferent is by the mesencephalic nuclei, principal sensory nuclei and spinal nucleus of trigeminal nerve, and special somatic efferent is by the vestibular and cochlear nuclei. And you should remember that these nuclei are present, some nuclei are present throughout the brainstem, some are present at the different levels of the brainstem. So this is the arrangement from medial to lateral or anterior and posterior. So these 3 columns lie medial and 4 sensory columns lie laterally in the pons and upper part of medulla, whereas motor columns lie anteriorly and posterior, the sensory columns lie posteriorly in the midbrain and lower part of medulla. That is the arrangement. So why in the pons and upper medulla they are medial and lateral? Because of the acute ventral pontine flexure, and this is the arrangement of different nuclei that will study section wise by taking section. Then you will understand why they are like that. Coming to the blood supply of the brainstem, it is supplied by three sets of arteries: vertebral artery, basilar artery, and posterior artery. Vertebral artery supplies medulla, basilar artery supplies pons, and posterior artery along with some branch of basilar supply midbrain. Vertebral artery supplies the medulla by following branches: anterior spinal artery, posterior spinal artery, and posterior inferior cerebellar artery. Whereas the basilar artery, which supplies the pons by following branches: pontine, anterior inferior cerebellar, superior cerebellar artery, and some branch of posterior cerebral artery supply the pons. So, you can see here posterior cerebral artery and superior cerebral artery both supply midbrain. The posterior cerebral artery gives a posterior choroid branch and posterolateral striate branch. This blood supply of brainstem is very important to diagnose the different syndromes. And the pattern of the blood supply is by the three branches, that is paramedian branches which supply the median zone, short circumferential branches which supply anterolateral and lateral aspect, and long circumferential branches which supply the posterolateral zone. So, depending upon which set of arteries are involved, the patient will show the symptoms and signs. So, you can diagnose by the features and the parts of the brainstem involved. So, here you can see the anterior view of the brainstem. You can see there. Now, yeah, that is vertebral artery. Both vertebral artery join to form the basilar artery. As we have seen, the vertebral artery supplies the medulla. It gives rise to anterior spinal artery, posterior spinal artery, and posterior inferior cerebellar artery, that is highlighted there. You can see, and both vertebrae join to form basilar artery, which predominantly supplies the pons by pontine branches, and this anterior inferior cerebellar artery and superior cerebellar artery, and it divides into two posterior cerebral arteries, which partly supplies the pons and predominantly supplies the midbrain. So, see these branches here. As you see the lateral view, in the lateral view also you can notice there. So, these are the sets of arteries supplying the different parts of brainstem. Some overlapping is there in the distribution of the blood supply. You can see the cranial nerves there. So, vertebral artery and basilar artery gives three branches, and basilar artery also gives terminal branches, that is posterior cerebral artery. In this lateral view, right lateral view, you are seeing that is the basilar artery dividing into posterior cerebral artery. It is the right lateral view of the midbrain. You can see there superior cerebral artery, circumflex branches, posterior cerebral artery supplying the midbrain, and this is the left lateral view showing the vertebral artery, basilar artery supplying the pons here. You can see anterior inferior cerebral artery, pontine branches, posterior cerebral artery, and superior cerebellar artery supplying the pons, and they have three zones: anterior, lateral, and posterior. Depending upon which set of arteries are involved, the symptoms and signs will appear. This is a cross section of midbrain there. You can see substance nigra. In front of it, you will see this intercalator artery, posterior communicating artery, and these are posterior cerebral arteries giving to the perforating branches in the interpeninsular fossa. And you can see the posterior choroidal artery, the superior cerebellar artery supplying the midbrain. So, vertebral artery supplies the most of the medulla, basilar artery supplies the most of the pons, posterior cerebral artery supplies the most of the midbrain, even though there will be some overlapping in the distribution amongst the different parts of brainstem. And this is the endoscopic view. You can see the vertebral artery, both sides they join to form the basilar artery, in the basilar sulcus. It is giving entry into cerebral artery, pontine branches there supplying the anterospersa pons, and that is superior cerebellar artery, and it again divides into two posterior cerebral arteries. So brainstem is mainly supplied by the vertebral system of arteries. You should see here in this endoscopic view, on either side of the brainstem you will also see these bulky internal cavity arteries. Now you will see these are the pair of internal cavity arteries there, and you can see the different branches of vertebral artery, basilar artery. So this is the blood supply of the brainstem. So thank you.